What's up, guys and gals? It's messy-haired Griever back here today to bring you guys chapter 147 review for Jujustu Kaisen. And especially considering that there's going to be an extended break from here because of Golden Week, because of breaks, etc., up until chapter 148. This is going to be the last Jujustu Kaisen chapter we're going to get for quite a while here. So, is this chapter worthy of going on a break and stuff? Well, let's dive into that, because personally I have a couple of small problems. They're my own. There's nothing wrong with the chapter itself. There's nothing wrong with the story. It's just sort of irking me on a personal level, and we'll get right into that, because this chapter is about the Principal Yaga. And for those of you who don't know, I rank Principal Yaga as being stronger than most of the other characters. Like, before we really knew what he was capable of and stuff, I figured someone who was in class with Gojo and Gito, someone who elevated himself to the level of principal, would be a formidable force. We haven't really seen him go all out. He is ranked in this chapter, confirmed. He has been ranked a special grade because of his ability to create Panda, and as we saw, not just Panda, but some other cursed corpses that can function independently of the sorcerer. So I was always ranking him, with the exceptions of guys like Yuta maybe, I always ranked him above all the students. You know, like even guys like Toto and stuff. I always thought that Yaga would be higher up there. And the fact that he is considered a special grade, not necessarily for his combat prowess, but for his knowledge of something that nobody else has, I agree that would definitely refer to him as a special grade as a result. So kudos, because I really like Yaga. The thing is that of course they talk about Panda. They talk about how, like, yeah, you would think that would be semi-normal, that we could all do that. The issue is that it needs constant supply of cursed energy from a sorcerer. However, what you've created in the form of Panda, now they're not aware of the other ones, but in the form of Panda, they have recognized that this thing has self-replenishing cursed energy. That doesn't make sense. The science isn't there for that. That's not possible. So what the hell did you do? And the fact is that they not only rate him a special grade as a result, which gives him indefinite imprisonment and all this stuff, because it's the other principal, Ganji or whatever his name is, the old man with the guitar. He's the one who's basically interrogating him, basically going, another reason you're ranked special grade is because if you intentionally created that thing, then what is stopping you from creating an entire army of pandas? An entire army. It sounds silly, but I mean, you could say it the other way, an entire army of cursed corpses that do not require your own cursed energy. Because unlike guys like Yuta, right? Most people have a finite amount. They have a limit, right? So Yaga can't create. The cursed corpse idea is great in theory, but you would need multiple sorcerers with the same technique, the same understanding, all being able to coordinate their army. It's not really practical to create an army where you need the sorcerers in the back constantly supplying the MP sort of idea to keep them moving, keep them going. However, in the case of Panda, it's like, well, if you can create this thing and you're at 100% and it's not siphoning off you at all, what's to stop you from doing that again and again and again and again until we have dozens, hundreds, thousands? And then what's to stop you from doing it, pretty much? Hence, that's why they want to know, how did you make this thing? Did you do it on purpose? What's the secret, etc.? Now, here's where we jump sort of back into a bit of a backstory with one of my other characters that I love to hate and hate to love, which is Kusakibe. He's the dude who showed up in the Shibuya arc. He's got the sword and everything. We might have seen him slightly before that, but I just remember his role there, where he's not exactly the bravest person. He's out for his own skin. He is selfish, but he is a protector. He's one of those very gray characters where you agree with his assessment and assumptions in one panel, then the next time you're like, no, you're supposed to be like a badass. You got a cool look, got a cool sword. Why won't you fight? He's like, screw that, not fighting, because he's out for his own skin. He's got some selfishness to him. He's got some survival instincts to him. He's not necessarily overly brave. At times, you could even refer to him in the Shibuya arc. He was almost like cowardly compared to some of the students. So, Kusakibe is definitely a very on-the-fence gray character where some things are just, he's at a crossroads with that stuff. But we get this information, and we see a lot of the other cursed corpses. I'm going to assume that all of these are working just like Panda, that they're all independent in that way. And he has hidden them away in this foresty area. I don't really know where this is. But we see Kusakibe, and the whole reason is we sort of get a backstory on him and how it affects Yaga and how it affects Panda, in the fact that basically what Yaga is doing here is he has decided he found out the secret to imparting a soul, and he tells this to Kusakibe. He goes, this isn't actually your nephew. So basically Kusakibe has a sister, and we find out in this chapter, who's basically catatonic. She's become depressed. She's in a wheelchair. She's in a mental institution, pretty much. She's in an asylum. She couldn't get over the loss of her son. So it's painful to watch, right? And we've seen that's done in fiction, and it happens in reality. It's a very scary thing that can happen, that too much loss can put someone in basically a comatose, a living vegetable, if you were, sort of state. And it's definitely something to be taken super seriously. So they're bringing the reality into this, that bad things happen, So I always like when they add that realistic element, that regardless of the supernatural aspects of this world, of this manga, there are still things like this that happen that are very real, very sad, and very tragic and stuff. So in this backstory with Kusakibe, Yaga says, this isn't your nephew. It's just something that is holding all the information. But it sounds like it's not the nephew, because it's this little weird looking, sort of humanoid cat person, with a tie. Not really sure what they're going with there, but we see that they all sort of look odd. All the ones he leaves behind, sort of, they have animalistic traits, bug traits. None of them are exactly human. So as he puts it, it has all the information. I'm taking this to believe that it has not necessarily all the memories, but it has the personality, right? It's got all the personality, so it will act exactly like the nephew. Now, there's probably some more to this story. I'd like to know more about this, because I don't believe it holds the memories of the nephew. It just holds what made the nephew him, because it's got, by the sounds of it, his soul is one of the three souls. If that's the case, once again, I think I need a little more information to confirm this, but pretty much it's sort of like, yeah, and Kusakibe acknowledges this, Yaga acknowledges this, but it says, am I just obsessed over a dead person that I can't accept their death and stuff? I can't move forward. I'm stuck in the past. That might be so, but my little sister here, the mother, she can no longer live without her son, without Takara. Takara? I'm not sure what the name was. But pretty much that's her son. And she is in the state that she can't let go of it. There's nothing they can do for her anymore. They can't bring the dead back to life. So we're in this sort of thing. And in this way, we think that this might be a bad thing sort of idea, but he's just sort of like, all right, well, if you're sure. And we see her dead eyes, unable to move. And then basically he shows up with this guy and says, that's my mother, isn't it? And Yaga's like, yes, it is. And he goes, because I'm a genius. And then we see a quick flashback. That was the trait. That was what the son always said, Takaru. Yeah, something like that. I'm probably just pronouncing it wrong. And just says, I'm a genius. And the mother just leaps out of the wheelchair, realizing, that's my son. And just runs to him, breaks down, hugs it, that whole bit. So, is this cruel or is this kind? There's a whole philosophical debate about whether this is right or wrong, or whether this is ethical or not. It's been done in other works before, a similar idea, and I'm not going to judge, because we haven't really seen, and apparently she's not. Once again, was this kind or cruel? That's the fundamental question. I could see both arguments here. At the end, she wasn't going to get better without this, but she might inevitably crash further down the rabbit hole. But if she's already that deep, that there's so many arguments to this, and I don't want this to be, because this is probably a good topic where we are going to have a break. Maybe I'll do a discussion video about this, next week or something, because we do need more information, for one thing, about this story, a little more information about the backstory, and on exactly what does he mean by it just has the information of your nephew. It doesn't seem to have the memories, but what's the limitation on the information, right? So there's more to discuss here, and this is more of a review. So Kusakibe basically says, Yaga says, I'm sorry, but he can't stay with her, sort of idea. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's fine, dandy, but because they can't reveal, because she can't exactly just disappear into this forest. I don't know why they wouldn't have set her up in the forest, the secret area that Yaga brought him from and stuff. Why wouldn't they just say, okay, and they would fake her death or move her home, because Kate would be like, I'm taking her out of here, it's not doing any good for her, and then they secretly move her to that place where she just lives happily or something. I don't know the reasons why. There's a lot of questions here, but in the end, Kusakibe just says, thank you so much, you shouldn't apologize for this, thank you so much, really. And of course, he's doing the manly thing. He's doing the stand there, crying, but we don't see him cry, but we know he's crying. He just is, this was, once again, it's all the cruelty kindness argument here, because we're seeing that. Now, Kusakibe also helps free Panda, which, correct me, I didn't know Panda was captured. I really didn't know that. Yaga was imprisoned and Panda was imprisoned, and Panda was going to be used as bait to lure Yaga out, apparently, according to Kusakibe. Kusakibe ended up breaking the binds. He's in one of those rooms with all the talismans all over, sort of like at the beginning of the series where Yuji was in, and just basically says, don't tell the others that I helped you. They captured you to lure him out, but I'm in his debt, sort of idea, and we know why Kusakibe would help. He'll do anything to help Yaga because Yaga helped his only family, we can surmise for this, the only family he has left, and actually made her get out of the wheelchair, sort of idea. So that there is a debt to be paid there. I actually really enjoy this backstory because it brings, once again, a sense of realism. Something that is growing more and more in manga over the last 10-15 years is that manga stories have been grabbing real-life situations and really tragic, reality hits you home, three-dimensional, not just for the sake of being dark and edgy, but bringing real-world sort of applications, and bad things happen in the real world, good things happen in the real world, and bringing them and adapting them into manga. We're getting a lot more of that, and I do appreciate that. It's definitely changed over the last few decades how manga stories, especially in Shonen Jump, have evolved to that point, to tell these type of stories. So basically, the rest of the chapter goes on that Yaga basically goes to get Panda, so the lure, the bait thing did work, and there's some sort of ninja-looking guy. I don't really know where he's from. Must be some enforcement thing. If we've seen him before, I don't remember him. And he's just like, all right, well, you were sentenced to death, what I mean? But if you reveal, how you made Panda, you can save your life and stuff like that, But otherwise, no, you're being executed, sort of idea. I love how Yaga brings up the fact, you guys got really cocky the moment Gojo disappeared, didn't you? You guys got really cocky. And Yaga's like, but I'm pretty strong too, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to see Yaga kick the shit out of these guys, because Yaga, once again, I always ranked him a lot higher without seeing him before, just like how we haven't seen, what's his name from the last chapter that Yuta said, he's stronger than me, the third classman, the suspended classman, I forget his name, Hinekiki, anyways, with that, it's sort of the same idea, where it's we haven't seen him before, but we assume he's sort of a badass, right? So in the same way, I always assumed that Yaga was pretty strong. Now, this is where he goes, sort of, I'm confident because the principal's here, the rock star, he's here. And it's okay, well, this should be a pretty evened up match, I would figure. But then we see on the ground that Yaga looks pretty beat up. He's got the cross. Now, once again, he broke his guitar, though. So we're seeing that it wasn't necessarily an easy match, but Yaga did get overwhelmed because he's the one bleeding and broken with cross-shaped blood everywhere sort of idea. The other principal standing over him, his guitar is broken and he looks pretty beat up, but not nearly to that extent. So he did put up a pretty decent fight, but in the end, I guess Yaga, and this is part one that sort of pisses me off, is that I wanted Yaga to be a little, like, this feels a little shitty, where I wanted to see Yaga showcase what he can do as well. I wanted Yaga to sort of step up now that Gojo is gone, that maybe he was going to step up and we were going to be able to see what he can do when he's on the active roster. He was going to do some impressive stuff. Unfortunately, I guess we're not really going to see that, and we've already seen the limitations of his power because he lost to the other principal. So it's like, well, and it was off screen too, so we don't even know how that went down, because his whole thing is the cursed, making the cursed corpses and stuff, and it doesn't seem like he even tried or anything like that. If that's his main ability, I don't know. I don't really know how this fight went down, and maybe Yaga was handicapped because he didn't use cursed corpses and he didn't, I don't know. Either way, I'm just a little disappointed that a character that I was hoping to see in action is now down on the ground, and we've sort of seen his limits. We can easily power scale or power rank him right now, unless we get information that he wasn't ever trying to hurt the principal sort of idea. He defended himself, but he never went on the attack or something like that for whatever reason. Who knows? The other part that I don't like is that when they're finally alone after he's bleeding out, Panda is rushing there. And the idea is that he explains exactly how Panda was made. And the principal is just like, wait, what? Like, why are you telling me this all now? Had you told me before, I wouldn't have had to hurt you. And by the sounds of it, the way this chapter is going, and this is another problem. So I have 3 problems with this chapter. Number 1, Yaga off-screen defeated, and we never got to see him go all out as a badass, which is disappointing for me because I was really looking forward to that. Number 2 is that in the end, I must be missing the point here, because now he has told them how to do it. He sacrificed his life for what? I have zero idea, because now he's told them. Now the higher-ups will know. They know now how to make Panda. The idea of keeping that a secret, especially from these greedy-ass old higher-ups with Gojo gone, they will try to now make an army. That's a horrible idea. Why would you ever reveal this? If you're on your deathbed, take it to your grave, Yaga. I don't get the point here. There's supposed to be some point where he says, it's a curse passed down from me now to you. I don't get it. I really don't. I'm trying to get it, and I'm not trying to take away. This is why I don't want to judge this point too harshly yet, because I just don't think I get it. I don't get it. I'm going to have to go watch Misk's reviews, and I'm going to have to watch some other reviews to see what people are saying on Reddit, because I don't get the point in revealing this. This is a terrible idea to reveal, and it doesn't... Like, why? Why would you do this? This is a horrible idea. You're handing them the keys to the nuclear launch codes. Why are you doing that? You should have swallowed them and died with them. Nobody would have been the wiser. And this brings up my third point. My third problem is that, so Panda shows up. This is very emotional. This is very sad. And, they're into play, and it's like, oh, you're going to fight me now sort of idea. And Panda just walks right by him and says, why aren't you attacking me? Don't you hate me? Like, I'm hurting him. And he says, Panda basically said, don't lump me in with you. I'm not bound by, humanity and their stereotypes and how they operate. He said, but your relationship with the principal was not bad. You're just following orders from the higher-ups. I just see you as a sword. You're just a falling knife. You're the executioner. You're not the one who gave the order to execute. You blame the one who, you blame the firing squad, or do you blame the one who ordered the firing squad, right? So Panda, logically making sense here, though I still, I'm a little choked up by the fact that he has to hold on this brave face, and then he does break down and says that even Panda cries, though. And we see Panda crying over the Principal Yaga, who, by the looks of it, especially with the last page, with father and child, a bond that exists in those tears, and we see the kanji for Yaga means owlet moth, and we see the light break in the final panel and stuff, and everything, and I'm just sitting there like, so did Yaga die? Like, is Yaga dead here? Because he sort of, I didn't get that at first, but it seems like he did with that final shot and all the kanji. Like, what? So this is what really irritates me, is because if he's alive, then this scene, which is high emotion, is sort of trolling us a little bit if he's alive. If he's dead, like, I don't see this chapter, like, this is not really a great ending to a chapter. I have a problem with this because, number one, we've already talked about my other two problems. Number one, I'm disappointed that Yaga didn't get more time to shine, right? Fair enough, but that's a personal thing. Number two is, why reveal the secret to making an army? That's a horrible idea, no matter who he tells. That's a terrible idea. So I don't get why he did it. And it's not like, oh, once you find out the secret, you are bound and I've chained you. Ha ha ha, Kisuke Urahara, Aizen Sosuke 4D chess play. It's like, no, it doesn't bind him anyway. It's not a binding vow to know the information or something, so he can't speak of it even if he wanted to, or yada yada. Like, there's nothing in play there like, I will give you the information, but then you're bound not to be able to speak of it. There's nothing like that, so I don't get it. I really don't know. So that bothers me, but the worst part here is that if Yaga is dead, then, like, if Yaga's not dead, then the emotions in this chapter and that final page that sort of makes us assume with the moth down and dead on the ground after, you know, the light, like, going too close to the lamp and then bang, and then killing the moth, to imply that he's dead is like, okay, if he's not dead, then you're sort of trolling us here, as I said. But if he's, so he's alive and yada yada, he's just really badly injured, which I would like, because I was like, wait, Yaga's going to die this chapter? Off screen, Yaga's going to die without ever seeing what he's going to do, you know, fully, and like, really? Seriously? Damn. You know? So I find it a little bit of a disrespectful death a little bit, and once again, it's like, wow, like, that sort of came out of nowhere. And number one, the other flip side is that if he actually did die, then, like, I just don't see the ending of this chapter being that great. Because if he actually dead, that's unceremonious as shit. It's like, we haven't seen Yaga for a while. He shows back up in the chapter. We get his backstory just to kill him off. Off-screen battle. He doesn't even go out in a blaze of glory. He's killed by one of his allies or comrades. He's basically murdered in cold blood. Panda sees it, cries, and that's the end of him? That's the end of Yaga? After he didn't really get to do anything? That's disappointing if he truly went out like this. Like, that happened way too quick. It wasn't enough of a build-up for me. So I'm kind of disappointed if he is truly dead. And if he's not dead, then you're trolling me with this chapter. And I don't like that either. So, yeah, so I'm really on the fence about whether, like, the chapter itself was great. I liked the backstory with Kusakibe and all that stuff, and the information on Panda and the three souls and how they harmonize. And after 3 months, the birth becomes, you know, I get all that, fine dandy. But, so the information is great and stuff, but it's just this ending, because I don't see either way, whether Yaga's alive or dead, I don't think this was a good way to handle that. So, but what do you guys think? What do you guys think? As I said, I still like the chapter overall. I don't like how it ended. Because I didn't think that he was dead. I just thought he was badly beaten and bloodied. I didn't think he was dead by the end of the chapter. But now looking at this, like, that's what's implied here. Especially with the principal saying you could have avoided execution, as though he just executed him. So, yeah. I don't know, guys. As I said, this is sort of a long review here, so I'll end it here so it's not like 35 minutes long. But what did you guys think? Because I got some feelings about this. Well, we're going to have to wait for a few weeks to see. But if you guys could tell me why the hell he would reveal how to make the army in the first place in the comment section. If you guys have a theory and I just didn't see it, that'd be great. I read the chapter 3 times, still don't get why he would keep his mouth shut and then reveal it at the end to the, like, not making sense. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the review. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. It's always very much appreciated. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always, as I always do. And we'll see you back here next time, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.